Hello, I'm Marco, and welcome to my home kitchen. Quite literally this time, because this is a kitchen tour.
Let's spend time with Marco, but the food is the star, so it's probably worth sharing.
Today I'm going to give you a tour of my kitchen, one last celebration of this beautiful place before I never get to see it again, because as you can see, I'm moving. This house was built in 1911. I've owned it since 2013. And it's a fairly compact house. It's about 700 square feet on the main floor. When I bought the house, the kitchen looked like this. And so when I first moved in, I did a pretty basic IKEA renovation that looked a little bit like this, but it ended up being a pretty cramped space and pretty dark. In 2020, I sold my software company. I did not get rich, but I did make enough money to put in my dream kitchen, so that's what I did. In a surprise to no one, renovating a kitchen in 2021 was a supply chain disaster, but that's a story for another day.
Body. It's okay. Well, guess what? We're not getting an oven today.
Today, I want to focus on what I like about the kitchen and not about how terrible it was to make it happen. As you walk into the house, you're greeted by the kitchen with a straight line of sight going into the backyard. The kitchen is very open concept. It's integrated into the dining room, which is currently full of boxes, as you see here, but this is what it normally looks like. And yes, this is a beautiful custom-made dining sofa. It is my favorite thing in the house. The kitchen integrates directly into the outdoor space in the backyard, and there's a little powder room tucked behind the appliance wall. I really like this layout for living in the house. There's a ton of space for having multiple people working in the kitchen. It is great for entertaining because if I'm sitting here in the dining room, I can talk to whoever is right in the kitchen. Before diving into the details, I do want to make it clear that nothing in this video is sponsored. Everything you see here I paid for with my own money, and everything was in here before I even had a YouTube channel. The first thing everyone sees when they walk into the house are the beautiful maple herringwood floors. These floors were made by Lausanne in Quebec. I absolutely love them. I've wanted herringbone floors for like my entire life. I will say that herringbone is expensive and time consuming to install. So you're looking at 3 or 4 times the price of a normal hardwood floor. I designed the kitchen layouts and cabinets. You may not know this about me, but I actually went to university for design. The look of the kitchen is inspired by a Nordic kitchen company called Nordiska Kok, that I hope I'm pronouncing correctly, combined with a matte walnut cabinet somewhere behind all these boxes that I bought from Blue Dot. I had the cabinetry made by Barzotti in Guelph, and while the cabinets are beautiful and they're known for their quality craftsmanship, the customer experience was really terrible, so I have a very hard time recommending them for that reason alone. The cabinets themselves are made out of plywood with horizontal grain walnut on the front with a matte finish, and that's on all of the drawers and door fronts. The drawers use Bloom push-to-open hardware, and while I like this idea, in practice it turned out to be pretty terrible. The cabinet maker bought lower-end Bloom hardware. That means if you lean against the drawers, which everybody does in a kitchen, they just pop open. And this specific hardware doesn't have the soft close drawers, so once you pop them open, it takes a lot of force to close them. If you have too much force, they bounce right back open. It's a small but daily frustration that slightly better hardware would have resolved. I had drawer inserts added into strategic locations to help organize things like spoons, ladles, spatulas, as well as this knife drawer that's really handy that I have inside of the peninsula. There's this really awkward area under my staircase because my house has pocket doors that are like 12 inches deep. So my solution to this area was to put an integrated coffee machine and steam oven that are recessed into the wall. This open shelving looks really nice on a video or in photos, but in day-to-day life, it's hard to keep it clean and organized and looking nice. I had originally wanted a standard height counter so I could have a stationary drawer and some closed shelving for all of my mugs and glasses, but I ended up in an argument for weeks with the cabinet maker about what should go in this space, and the person I was forced to work with had this very strong opinion and wouldn't let me change it. I know that sounds ridiculous given that it's my kitchen and they should let me have the design that I want, but they also tried to get me to switch from walnut to cherry the day that I brought my deposit check, so they're not firing on all cylinders over there. I added this little rack here for wine glasses and wine bottles afterwards to help fill up the space and make it look a bit more complete and integrated into the home. And those shelves actually came from a separate bar cabinet that I have. I love to cook. I have so many cookbooks and I have so much stuff that goes in my pantry. When I was testing out layouts for the kitchen, I actually put some IKEA bookcases back there to see if I would like this concept of shallow, tall shelving that kind of felt like grocery shopping in my own home. I really liked it, and physically testing what I was going to do in the new kitchen layout was a really great way to validate all these different ideas that I wanted to try. This pantry is a showpiece. It runs from floor to ceiling. It has these beautiful smoked glass doors. They're push to open. So it's really easy to see everything all at once, and you're not going to find something 5 years later buried in the back after it's expired. I went entirely for drawers in this kitchen. There are no upper cabinets. I did that because I had drawers in my previous IKEA kitchen, and I absolutely love them. The ergonomics are better, the ability to find stuff is better, but they are more expensive. Over the appliance cabinets, there are these beautiful touch-to-open flip-up doors. Again, these are using Bloom push-to-open hardware. It generally works really well. The storage space is really accessible and easy, and over my coffee machine and steam oven, I keep all of my baking sheets with these aftermarket organizers that I installed, and I really like it. It's a great way to keep everything clean, organized, easily accessible. The only real challenge with these is that the door over the fridge and freezer just pops open anytime you close the fridge or freezer because of the air pressure pushing it up. I tried adjusting all the settings, didn't work, and in the end, I decided to Velcro them shut. I ordered all my appliances in the spring of 2021. I received all of them in September 2022. So my experience with appliances is very special. I lived with a mini fridge, an induction cook plate, and a tub sink for a year. While I love my appliances now, that experience was not fun. Originally, I had bought a mix of Miele and Thermador appliances, but Thermador had an even worse supply chain than everybody else with no communication, so I switched everything over to Miele about halfway through the project. As a reminder, none of this is sponsored, and I purchased all these appliances before I even had a YouTube channel. Now you're probably wondering where the fridge is, and that's a great question. I have the fridge, freezer, and dishwasher integrated behind Walnut panels. These are handleless, which means that the fridge and freezer are both push to open, and the dishwasher, you knock twice to open. Now here's the thing about integrated appliances. I absolutely love the aesthetic, but you are paying more money to have a door made. You are paying more money to have a fridge or freezer that can support that door and the installation of that. Because I also went with a push to open door instead of putting a handle, they were even more expensive. So the question here is like, is this worth it? Should you copy it? Should you do it at your house? I can't answer that for you. It's really beautiful, but it's really expensive. So that's a decision between you, your therapist, and your financial advisor. I have a 30-inch integrated column fridge and an 18-inch integrated column freezer with an ice maker. Both of these work great. I love that they are tall and not deep. It's really easy to see everything you have all at once. In particular, the fridge door just has like endless storage. These produce drawers, sad as the contents are given that I'm moving in 5 days, do a really great job keeping produce fresh for like weeks. I have never seen produce stay this fresh for this long. I like the fridge and freezer a lot. I have no complaints other than how expensive they are. You'll notice the fridge and freezer are separated. I had this wall at the back of the house taken out. The mason put in a couple of steel lintels, but they could only go so far before hitting the chimney. That left a pretty shallow area, maybe 12 inches deep, where a cabinet could go. This ended up working out really, really well because I have this tall but shallow cabinet that fits all of my appliances, like my blender, my food processor, my mixer, and they're easily accessible but also out of the way. I had originally ordered a double oven, but due to the supply chain, they couldn't deliver it. So Miele switched me to 2 single ovens. As ovens, they are fantastic. Best ovens I have ever used. The problem is I never use them. The reason I never use them is because the Combi steam oven is the coolest oven I've ever had, and I use it every single day for every single thing I do. I make a lot of bread at home, so I bought these ovens because they have the steam injection feature. But again, the Combi steam oven does a better job making bread. When it comes to my next kitchen, I'm not even going to put any regular ovens in. I'm just going to put 2 Combi steam ovens. Now you might be wondering, what is a Combi steam oven? Why do you love it so much? Let me tell you. A Combi steam oven does everything that a regular convection oven does. So you can bake, you can broil, you can roast. Most of what you've seen on this YouTube channel that's baked, whether it's a cake, roasted vegetables, cookies, that's all been done in the Combi steam oven. The Combi steam part is because it can inject steam from 0 to 100% humidity while it's baking. This lets you do really cool stuff, like steam cook rice, in this case brown rice, which comes out perfectly fluffy every single time. You can make hard-boiled eggs that come out perfect every single time without needing to boil water or wash a pot, because you just use this perforated stainless steel tray that fits in the dishwasher. You can steam cook veggies like bok choy or broccoli, which again come out perfect every time. What's so cool is you can steam cook the brown rice, eggs, and bok choy all at the same time, and the oven tells you when to put each tray in. It even tells you how much water to put for the rice. The oven dings your watch or your phone and it's like, hey, time to put the eggs in. And then everything finishes at the same time and you get this beautiful brown rice bowl for dinner. It's such an easy, foolproof way to make healthy, delicious food. You can also use it to sous vide. I use this to make egg bites in silicone molds, which turn out perfect every time. You can sous vide steak, salmon, chicken, whatever you want to sous vide, and it all just happens in an oven. You can sanitize, which is really great if you're doing bottle feeding, but you can also can and preserve right inside the oven. You can use it to proof bread, but you can also make custom programs. The custom programs are my second favorite feature. I made this one for bread, which first preheats the oven to 450, holds the temperature, tells me on my Apple Watch that the oven is preheated. I then put in the bread and it turns into a 100% steam environment for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, it will automatically lower the temperature, switch to a crisping function, which evacuates all of the moisture, and it helps create that really beautiful thin crust on sourdough bread. In practice, this means no more Dutch oven and perfect, consistent bread every single time. If you make a lot of bread at home and you're planning to renovate your kitchen, get a Combi steam oven, not a steam injection oven. You can add steam to bake, broil, and roast recipes as well, which helps cook veggies like 25% faster, or if you're cooking things from frozen, they cook just so fast. My favorite feature by far though is using it to reheat leftovers. It has a reheat function where it adds steam and gently warms up the food over 10 minutes. I don't even know how to explain to you how good the food tastes coming out of it. Leftover cold, dry, hard rice from the fridge comes out perfect as if you had just cooked it. Bread comes out warm and fluffy and full of steam. Meat stays tender, not that weird, chewy texture you get from a microwave. And even cooler is there is a function called crisp reheat that first warms everything up with steam and then turns on a crisp function, which is the best way I've ever found to reheat pizza. It tastes better than when you get the pizza the first time. If you're thinking about this seriously, you need to know that it's a 240 volt appliance, so it has different wiring than a regular oven or a regular outlet. Mine is plumbed in the wall, which means it has a water supply and a drain. And you can get ones that don't have those features, but they're a lot more maintenance to deal with on a daily basis. I love the Combi steam oven so much that not only will I put one in my new house, I bought a countertop version to take in my electric truck while I go camping across the country for 2 months. At this point, you might be thinking Miele can do no wrong, but now we have to talk about the cooktop. In my previous kitchen, I had a Fisher & Paykel Induction cooktop. I loved it. It worked great. For this renovation, I had ordered a Thermador Freedom induction cooktop, which basically means you can put a pot or pan anywhere on the surface. Turns out, just like AirPower from Apple, they couldn't deliver it. It was discontinued. They never told me. After waiting like 9 months for it, I canceled the order and I switched out to a Miele cooktop. The downside of making that change is my counters were already cut, so I had to set up Dexter's murder room so the countertop guy could recut the counter on site and put the Miele cooktop in. This is a 36-inch induction cooktop with integrated downdraft ventilation. I love induction. It is the best way to cook, and as an induction cooktop, it's great. But it's no better than the one I had before. The thing I really don't like though is that Miele doesn't use capacitive touch sensors like your phone has. They use light-based sensors. Their theory for this is that if like boiling water or oil gets on the cooktop, you're still going to be able to use the buttons. The downside of this is that if you put a pot or pan too far close to the sensors, the whole cooktop turns off. If the handle is creating a shadow, it turns the whole cooktop off. Look, I'm all for the future of technology, but some things don't need to be touch screens. We have physical controls. They're called knobs. They've been around forever. Bring back knobs. I will pay any amount of money for a cooktop with knobs. As angry as I am about the cooktop, the downdraft ventilation is incredible. You'll see there's this big beautiful window right behind the cooktop, so where would the vents go? Well, this one lives in the countertop, and here's a little video to show you how it works. I also bought a Miele dishwasher. My Miele dishwasher has auto dose. It's their proprietary automatic dish detergent dispensing tool, and I love it. This is the best dishwasher I have ever owned. It's nearly 100% silent. It's so silent I can run it while I'm filming videos. It's very water efficient. It tells you inside the app how much water it's using, and it cleans everything. Part of that is because Miele does make their own dishwasher detergent, and their dish detergent and laundry soap are excellent. You can also buy those if you don't have Miele appliances. While the fridge and freezer as integrated appliances are pretty optional, I think the integrated dishwasher makes a huge difference in the look and feel of a kitchen. The last appliance here is my built-in coffee machine. When you're designing a kitchen, there are a lot of expensive decisions you have to make. I actually had to talk to my therapist about this to ask, am I allowed to spend this much money on myself for something I'm going to use every day and brings joy into my life, or am I losing my mind? It turned out to be my favorite thing in the kitchen after the Combi steam oven. The way it works is kind of interesting. It's hard to tell from their website, but the whole front of the appliance swings open. In behind, you have 3 different bean hoppers. So I have one with regular coffee, one with decaf, one with seasonal coffee. There's a water jug. Mine is plumbed in with a water line, so it actually just fills itself with water. Behind the water jug is the actual brewing chamber. On the left side, you'll see some cleaning and descaling supplies because this coffee machine also cleans and descales itself. The only thing you have to do is take out the drip tray and empty it out into your sink and wash it. It's an outrageous luxury for people who value convenience. And yes, you can make better coffee with a similarly priced espresso machine, but the difference is like a 9 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10. I personally prefer convenience and a lack of maintenance over control. For me, my coffee ritual is about sitting down with a friend, a book, or a newspaper and enjoying that time. My ritual is not about the craft of making coffee. I know that is for some people, and for those people, a built-in coffee machine is probably not the right answer. While it is very expensive, I will buy it again just because it brings me such great joy. One more appliance sidebar, I also have the Miele washer and dryer upstairs. I love them both. The washing machine also has automatic soap dispensing. They are great, and I will buy those again. As a quick scorecard here, I will for sure buy the Combi steam oven, the coffee machine, the dishwasher, and the laundry. Hands down, those are my must-haves from Miele. I'm not sure if I'll spend the same amount of money on the fridge and freezer again. While I like the integrated look, I don't know if it's worth the upgrade cost. I won't get the ovens again simply because I'll probably get 2 steam ovens instead because the steam oven is just the best. And I'm going to go for a different brand for the cooktop because I want physical knobs. For countertops, I went with Cambria. These are Quartz countertops. This specific design is called Buxton. It is made from the crushed up recycled bits from all of their other countertops during manufacturing. Standard counters are 24 inches deep. These are 30 inches deep on the window wall and quite a large size on the peninsula. I went with 30-inch counters because it made a lot more sense to bring things closer together, and I also wanted to be able to keep kitchen appliances out and have a full usable space for a cutting board. I hate when you have to drag things around your kitchen just to be able to have a work surface. As a design feature, I got this waterfall edge put in on the peninsula side, which I really like as a way to break up all of the walnut everywhere. You'll see that the counters are thinner. They're only 3/4 of an inch thick. They were actually supposed to be even thinner than that, but the person who worked at the cabinet maker that did the drawings didn't read the spec for the countertops, and the cabinets weren't made compatible with that counter. I had to do a big swap at the last minute, ended up going with this 3/4 inch thick size because it matches all of the framing in the cabinetry. They're extremely easy to keep clean, they're extremely durable, and they look great both in person and on video. In my previous kitchen, I had granite countertops and they chipped, they cracked, they were hard to maintain, you have to seal them all the time. And this dining table that I'm sitting at right now is made of marble and it has also chipped and stained. And I'm now fully on the Quartz bandwagon. The material is so great and I will for sure buy Cambria countertops again. My personal preference is for a large single bowl sink. I do most of my dishes in the dishwasher. It is more water efficient than doing them by hand. In the last kitchen, I had an apron front sink, which looked really cool, except I would scrape it with my belt buckle all of the time. So for me, the sink is a place to wash large pots and pans and baking sheets, as well as a catch-all space for dirty dishes on their way into the dishwasher. This is a 30-inch Blanco sill granite sink with a ledge. I really like the ledge because it creates this catch-all area for cutlery and sponges and whatever you want to throw in there. It's really great. The fixtures I bought from Hansgrohe. On the left is an integrated soap pump, and this works really well. I've heard horror stories about cheap soap pumps breaking and not working and people regretting it. I've had this for almost 4 years. It has never ceased to function. So if you're gonna buy a soap pump, just spend the extra $50 on a good one. Filling this is really easy. You just pop out the pump, pour soap in, and put the pump back in. You don't have to go under the counter. It's great. This is a Hansgrohe Axor faucet. It has a separate handle, which I love because it is easy to keep clean. It's easy to keep it at a consistent temperature, and it's easy for people who are visiting to know how to use it. The faucet has a very long hose and sprayer that you can pull out to easily clean the sink or fill a pot with water, and it magnetically latches, which makes a very satisfying click when it goes back into place. On the right-hand side is a drinking water faucet, which has filtered hard water where everything else is soft water. Lighting is so important. And I've mostly focused on natural light up until I started making videos, and you learn how controlling the light in a space really, really matters. Before I lived in this house, I lived in a loft that had 14-foot floor-to-ceiling windows, brick walls. It was gorgeous, and I've been trying to chase that open air feeling of natural light ever since. So when it came time to do this renovation, I spent quite a bit of time and money to add more windows and doors to the space. The very large window behind the sink used to be a pretty small window. I had a brick mason come out, put in a couple of steel lintels, and they put in this big, beautiful window with some beautiful privacy glass to match the front door. The front door and the back door are also visible from the kitchen, and both of those I had made larger so more light would come into the space. I absolutely hate this window when it comes to filming video. It's the number one thing that stops me from making more videos in this house. Having the window just makes it really hard to light the scene, have it be even and look good, and then you just have all these unpredictable factors like the sun changing direction over the course of a day, or weather coming in and changing, or the days being really short in the winter. So while I love the window, in my next house, it's going to be a little bit different. Having said that, the money I spent on windows and doors was worth every penny. I put both pot lights and soft overhead lights into the space to give me some options for what the space would look like. In practice, these soft lights overhead are the things that I use every single day. I've used the pot lights like 3 times. They're really harsh. I don't really like them. And these soft overhead lights are amazing. I love them. And they've given me this huge appreciation for the quality of light fixtures you can put into a space, and that's something I really want to think about in the next home that I design. For this backsplash, if you go to some of my older videos, you'll see I had 2 floating shelves in there. Those were part of the original kitchen design, but in practice, the floating shelves were really hard to keep looking nice. They had to be staged every single day or they didn't look good, and that made them pretty impractical. I ended up getting this pegboard custom designed by Clolab in Vancouver, and it turned out to be one of my favorite features of the kitchen. I can easily move these shelves around based on what I need this space to look like, and it gives me tons of options for displaying my ceramic and art collection, which I think makes the space look really beautiful and interesting. It's also very practical because I actually use all of these bowls on a regular basis for eating, cooking, and baking. To get this made, I took measurements of the wall, including where all of the electrical outlets are, sent a drawing over, and they had this custom CNC'd made to fit my space. All I had to do was screw it in place, and that was it. Something I spent way too much time thinking about is water. If you make a lot of sourdough bread or you make a lot of coffee, you know that the quality of water you have is going to make an impact on the quality of the product you have at the end. The area that I live in has really chlorinated water and really hard water. It's at 28, whatever the unit is. The water is also heavily chlorinated. You can smell the chlorine when it comes out of the tap. For those 2 reasons, I put in a whole home water filter and a whole home water softener. The problem with soft water is it doesn't taste very good. It's salty. What I ended up doing then was I ran a filtered hard water line to the coffee machine, the drinking water, and the ice maker. And soft water ran to all the appliances like the ovens, the dishwasher, as well as the main faucet and the laundry upstairs. So I said at the beginning, I sold this house and I'm moving. And everyone's been asking me if I'm sad to leave this kitchen. And the answer really is no. While this kitchen is beautiful, I'm the one that made it beautiful. It used to look like this. So I'm gonna do it again, and it's gonna be even beautifuler. The thing that I've really learned in the past couple of years is that a beautiful kitchen, beautiful things are not a beautiful life. And a beautiful life is what I'm after. So my next kitchen is not actually in a house. Again, none of this is sponsored, but I bought a Rivian R1T electric pickup truck, a kitchen from Thunderbolt Adventure Supply that lives inside the gear tunnel, and I'm going on a 2-month-long cross-country camping trip through Canada and the US, and you're coming with me. The whole kitchen is powered by the truck. I'm gonna have 2 induction burners that are part of this kitchen I bought from Thunderbolt Adventure Supply. I also bought the Anova Precision Combi steam oven, which again, powered by the truck, and I'm gonna see how that works for making bread on the road. After my camping trip, I'm moving to a new province, Nova Scotia. It's on the east coast of Canada. My plan there is to buy some vacant land, build a house from scratch, and see what life is like living on the ocean. If you want to follow along on my ridiculous journey, please subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to get notified every time I publish a video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you from a forest. Hello, I'm Marco, and welcome to Bruce Peninsula National Park, to Lake Superior Provincial Park, to Rainbow Falls, to Riding Mountain National Park in Manitoba, to Grasslands National Park here in Saskatchewan, Canada.